viewers, this is the brand new Golf R, and while we're here to tell you about how and why it maybe isn't the best idea to buy it brand new. Okay guys, now that we are inside of the brand new Golf R, I know a lot of you have been bugging me about doing a golf review, but I've been waiting for the new Golf R to come, so here we are. So inside, I'm sorry to say, but it's not worth almost 1.3 million rand. There are many other cars that you can get before even reaching that price point. So let's actually turn it on so that we can just show you what goes on in here. It's kind of nice, it's kind of futuristic. I like the digital gauge cluster right there, shows you your gears right there. And you know, it's a nice LCD screen, although with the touchscreen, a lot of journalists have been saying that it hasn't been responding enough, and I can actually see it right now. It's not responding to my touch as well as something like maybe an Audi RS3, which is much cheaper than this. So actually looking around here, the touch, while the fit and finish is not really the best, it's still a Golf at the end of the day. I don't know why you're gonna pay almost $1 million for a Golf when you have soft touch, squidgy plastic over there and fake carbon fiber right here. You know, and the thing is, a lot of things that are in this car, such as, you know, the touchscreen and switching on the lights, are touch sensitive. So you have to really be delicate with switching on. You can't just, you know, just push it like that, because if you do, it might break, and that might be expensive. Considering it's VW, it's probably going to be very expensive. So let's actually just move to Mateo's side so that I can actually explain what it's like being in the passenger side of the new Golf R.
So guys, coming to the passenger side now, I must start off with a positive of the car, as there aren't many per se, but the seats here are actually really nice, which have a bit of a blue stitching in between. As you can see, you've got your R badge stitched on. They are very plush, really nicely finished. There's a bit of soft touch on the dash here, a bit of soft touch on the side, more of your fake carbon fiber, which looks quite nice, but I mean, they could have just put real carbon fiber in. And then you get to the Golf part of the Golf R, with these poor quality air vents that barely move, the plastic that's all around on the doors, plastic, and some carpety type substance inside here. And I must say, it's quite comfortable in the side. You've got quite a large amount of headroom. You've got your sunroof option in this car,
Which is actually touch sensitive.
yeah, which is touch sensitive, as you can see.
Which will probably break in the next year.
Yeah, and so there are a few positives, but I mean, the Golf R isn't the best value for money per se, and we'll get to those positives later on. But keeping up here, why would you want just a badge randomly saying Golf when you have a Golf R? Surely you'd like to be set apart from other people driving their standard Golfs from previous generations, as we don't have the standard generation here. And you come to this infotainment centerpiece here, or the managing of the infotainment, if you should say, and it's very simplistic. You've got your basic gear selector there, a very small one, looks like a key almost. You've got some space here for storage, got a 1 cup holder basically, and then small space for your key, and then over here is an excuse for storage space, as you can fit maybe a phone and something else.
So yeah, you can see that this is pretty much a Golf at the end of the day. And well, if you're up for spending almost 1.3 million rand, I can't believe I'm saying that for a Golf. Yeah, you have to be some sort of special person.
Please do keep in mind that this car will be stolen within a year or two, because we do live in South Africa and the Golf is incredibly popular in this country. You also have to remember that a lot of the parts of this car are shared with the Volvo, with the VW Polo, which, I mean, I'll show you in the back right now. If you have a new Polo in the rear end, this looks pretty much exactly the same. I mean, sure, there's some ambient lighting bits, so you got your blues and your reds, which is kind of nice, but basically everything that's touchable is either a really soft fake leather, or it is plastic, or in terms of the wells over here, so down here, I know you can't really see it well, but there is some ambient lighting to show you in the dark, and that's carpet with some plastic on top. You also do have some ambient lighting back here in the footwells, which is kind of nice. It's a nice touch to there, and you have USB-C charging cables, obviously illuminated, and you do have your aircon controls, also touch sensitive like everything else in this car. You have your plastic air cons, which Mateo talked about a little bit, but again, all other parts in this are very similar to the new Polos, obviously the new Jetta in other countries. We don't get that here, but what you will have a reference point if you're South African is the Polos. Another thing is that there are some blue accents at the back of the car. I do know that this is an option. So depending on whether or not you're willing to spend an extra 5,000 Rand on this, if you're buying this new, then you can get these blue accents. That's the only real interior option you are going to get. Everything else is basically standard. So yeah, Eugene.
Yeah, I'm just going through some of the modes in here, and well, it's, you know, I don't feel like this touch sensitive thing is really necessary, because it doesn't feel like it responds instantly, unlike some other systems like in an Audi or even in a BMW. But the one thing that I really hate about this right now is just how the pedals feel. So you're paying almost R1 million and you have this sound for paddle shifters that are worse than grabbing, I don't know. Yeah, let's just move on.
Plastic paddle shifters.
Yeah, it's plastic paddle shifters.
Basically sacrilege in the performance car world.
And the one other thing I have to say is, even though this car is not on right now, I don't know why the engine light is just showing right now, which is kind of confusing. But anyway, let's just move to see if trunk space can make up for a lot of the negatives that this car has.
And guys, just before we do that, I do want to add that it does have a somewhat decent sound system.
So the Golf R is still a hatchback, which means there is still a little bit of practicality that we have to look at. So hence why we're at the boot. The rear boot opens the same way you would in the previous generation, and it's a hatchback, which means you do get some practicality in here. A normal family would be able to use the space. It is quite strange though, if Eugene could just pan this way. For some reason we have a charger in here. Very strange position. I don't know what you'll be charging in here. The welds on the sides are quite small. Normally on the side welds you would have space for something like a wine bottle or something, but I mean it's too small for that. My hand is, yeah, it's way too small for that. Under here you would normally have a spare tire. There isn't one in here right now, but there is obviously a crevice for one. You have all the equipment that you would need in case your car does break down eventually. This is a VW after all. And well, that's pretty much this boot space. You have this little parcel shelf over here, and
You guys can also have some space to bring things forward into the rear seats, as this isn't the biggest of back ends. Okay guys, we are now at the front end of the Golf R, but I'd just like to start by showing you what I found. Cars for similar prices, if not cheaper. There's an R8, Ferrari Mondial T, RS7, RS6 Avant, Aston Martins, Mustangs, BMW M2s, M240is, A45s's, and the list can go on for over 60 pages on Auto Trader. But let's get to what the positives are at the front end of this actually quite quick little attach. The Golf R boasts a 315 horsepower, around 400 Newton meters of torque, 4-cylinder turbocharged motor, which has been there for quite a while now throughout the generations of Golf R, and is found in the same brotherhood of an Audi S3 and S3 sedan. And this, equipped with its all-wheel drive system that Golf has now almost mastered, working with Audi, this car can get you to 0 to 100 in around 4.5 to 5 seconds, and if not, even slightly quicker. And off the line is probably quicker than most cars. Standing next to it, an M2 that is faster off the line, the M4 that's quicker off the line, and as such there's many other cars where this all-wheel drive system will help it just get off that line a bit quicker. But at the same time, the brother car, the Audi S3, is faster than the Golf R and comes in at less price. And looking at the interior, the S3 is a better buy option.
Okay guys, so now that we're actually back at the rear of this car, I actually want to speak about the design. So personally, when the new Mark 8 Golf came out, I was honestly gobsmacked. It's so beautiful, it's so simple, and yet it's a bit aggressive at the same time. So as you can see, actually we're next to the previous generation GTI, and I've never been a Golf person, well, as you can tell about how I've been talking about it in the last like 5 minutes. But you know, I never really liked this generation of Golf either way. So when this launched, it was honestly just out of this world. I mean, the lights were just slimmer, more sleek, more of a sportier vibe, but then it's also subtle, which personally I actually like subtle cars more. So we actually move alongside the side of this car. You can see like it's a bit more stretched out, it's a little bit more in your face and a bit more muscular. So actually, to speak about the wheelbase, this is a lot more extended than the previous generation. So as you can see, you know, if you compare it to like the previous generation Golf R, this is a more like defined side profile of this car. You know, the mirrors are probably still the same. And a touch I actually really like is the Golf R logo right here. So it's very subtle and it doesn't shout like maybe like an M5 or an M4. And I personally really love these wheels, especially with the blue Golf brake disc caliper. So that's very, very cool. And if we actually move to the front, you know, I've asked a lot of people about this, and personally they do not like how this looks, because most of them were very much fans of the previous generation, so they really like that out there and more muscular look. I like this because it's slimmer, it's more sleek, as I was just saying, in the back, so it's really nice. And I actually love this blue detail right here. So also another thing I forgot to touch, from the factory you can actually option in this Akrapovic exhaust pipe, which is probably not an option on the previous generation, so it's actually kind of nice to see that. Now that we reached the end of this review, I actually wanted to give a brief overview about why it's not wise spending almost 1.3 million rand adjusted for taxes on a Golf, because there's a lot more cars that you can get for the price of this. If it was adjusted for like 800,000, 900,000, maybe I would understand, because it is a newer car and there's a lot more tech and a lot more performance that goes into it. But for a price like this, and especially knowing it's a VW at the end of the day, and it's more expensive than an Audi RS3, which a turbo 5-cylinder is honestly a mini V10. So actually, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.